Welcome to the School of Moxie podcast. I'm your host, Mary Williams. This season, we're talking about one thing. My business pays for my life. We're not talking about side hustles or someday dreams. We're talking about businesses that actually pay for your life. So your rent and your mortgage, your health insurance premium, the whole kit and caboodle. The thing you are not going to get today in this episode, you are not going to hear my guest read their resume at you for 15 minutes. We're skipping the highlight reel and going straight to the good stuff. We're talking about timelines and trade-offs and the money conversations that not enough people are talking about out loud, but we're about to do it here on this show. If you want to know all the details about who this person is and what they do, that's what the show notes are for. Go check them out. Follow their links. Please support their work because you don't really get to know somebody from just one episode. You get to know them by showing up for their work day after day. That's what they've done for their own communities, and it's what I'm asking you to do for them. All right, let's get into it. Eunice, I am so excited you're here with me today. You were on season 1 of this podcast with me. You've become such an amazing friend in my life. And we tried to record this in person like a few months ago. And I asked you to re-record because we were so deliriously tired. And we were tired entrepreneurs on the call. And there was no structure to the conversation. And nobody should be forced to sit there like 90 minutes of that. Well, you know the drill around here. We talk about TV and movies, and we use it as a gateway to talk about our businesses because, you know, my weirdo brain is like, everything's a business story. And you humored The Last of Us in season 1, and we had an incredible episode that season, which we talked about coercive control and had no idea when I released it in the schedule that it was Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I know both of us got a lot of private messages from people. And like the metrics on that episode are still incredible. So you're my safe space to talk about difficult things. And we're going to talk about fun things today. Everyone who's a guest this season, including you, can legitimately say, my business pays for my life. Even when you think you're not doing it well, or maybe you're not making all the money you want or anything. I'm sure you and I will get into that because we're both going through rocky economic times right now. But we're going to start with your comfort show or your comfort movie. The first time we recorded, I'm just going to let everybody know, the first time we recorded, we talked about the Gilmore Girls. I might release snippets of that later because some of it was cute. But you told me just now that you want to change what title you're talking about in this episode, which is so perfect because you also watch a lot of TV and movies like I do. We're both chronically online. And I want to know for this episode to talk about your business, what is the title that you have chosen?
Okay, so this is in like my top 5 comfort movies. Maybe like top 2 is The Holiday with Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz and Jack Black.
Oh my God, that movie is...
and that Jude guy.
That Jude guy. I love it. That movie is so amazing. It's that movie is really a comfort movie. I want to live in Kate Winslet's house in England in that movie. Like, it's everything I've ever wanted.
Live in a similar-ish house in Wales back in the fall.
Oh,
it wasn't quite that cozy, but I did get to fill a little bit. And actually the place in France was a little bit cottage-esque as well. I did get to fill a little bit of that fantasy.
Oh God, I'm so jealous. All right, so this is your comfort movie. I want to know what keeps bringing you back to it. Like, do you feel that this story reveals something about your values, your leadership style, your brand, or maybe your approach to business?
I think that it reveals a lot. So I come back to it a lot because, first of all, it's just a really good story. And because this is what I do for work, I am a storyteller. And I love to break down why a story works. And I realized when I started my weekly newsletter almost a year ago now that I've been doing this for like 20 some years because my ex-husband was a screenwriter or wanted to be a screenwriter. And so we went to the movies all the time and we were always breaking down like, why did this film work? Why did that film work? But The Holiday is one of those movies that the reason I think that it resonates with me is because there's 2 women as the leads, which you don't generally see. Like, it's a rom-com, but it's also like they're both the lead. actresses in this movie, which you don't see very often. And then the second thing is that both of these women find themselves in a position where life is just kind of stuck. They're both dealing with this, like, Amanda's breaking up with her boyfriend because she found him cheating on her, and Iris has this whole unrequited love line with her boss. I think it's her boss, but like a colleague for sure. So they're both feeling kind of stuck and wanting to change, just like get a change of scenery. So they do this home swap, which most people don't know that home swap site is actually a legitimate website. People do that, and there's new ones that have popped up since then. But both of them dared to imagine a life that could be different, and they did something that was wildly radical. And that is, if that's not me to a T, I don't know what it is.
So you've been living this life, like legitimately living this life.
I have been living this.
Yeah.
Yes, I have been running a business from all over the world, like literally. I was talking to my brother. So I was doing this lovely house sit in the south of France over Christmas. I was at the house for 3 weeks. My house sit was about 2 weeks, and I had stayed there extra at the host's invitation a few days before and a few days after. And they're just such a lovely couple. I can't wait to go back next year. But I was talking to him about what I was doing, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, is this what it looks like when somebody secretly wins the lottery?" Like, I was like, no. A lot of people seem to think that I am just rolling in it because I am doing this big, fantastic travel life. Like, they're not seeing the unglamorous parts where there was a point last fall when I was on a train to Budapest, and I knew that I was going to Budapest. I had my train ticket. And for that entire 7 hours, I had no idea what the fuck I was going to do when I got to Budapest because I had no money. And while I was on the train, one of my clients was like, "Hey, can you send me an invoice for this? I think we've hit this milestone." And I was like, "Absolutely, I sure can." And I sent it, and she paid it immediately. And it was just like, I can exhale. So the feast or famine cycle that I have been living in with my business didn't go away just because I'm somewhere else. In fact, sometimes it is even more acute because you can't like show up and crash on a friend's couch if you don't have a place to stay. You're like literally where there's nowhere. But there's a deep amount of trust that's required in that too, because I have not had to sleep in a train station. I have not had to like do anything terribly desperate. I did break the law a little bit in France and Spain getting to Barcelona, but I didn't get caught. So that's the important lesson of that story. But like, there's a lot of trust in that. Everything showed up exactly what I needed right on time, and it's still stressful as fuck. And that is running a business.
It is. I love that you just kind of like raised the stakes though. You're like, yeah, and I think also I'll take away like the stable office. I mean, people don't know that I have all of my stuff in storage. So like the two bills that I absolutely have to pay every single month are my storage unit and my phone bill. Other than that, like I sold my car, so I don't have car insurance. I don't have a car payment. I don't have these typical expenses that you have. And so I've basically been able to say, okay, here's how much money I was making and spending on living and eating. That's how much money I can afford to go live and eat someplace else. Yeah. And
it's a money management.
It's such a beautiful segue into how your business pays for your life. You by far have the most nomadic experience out of all the guests this season. And I love that you have it to give us this like range, this picture of what can be done when your business legitimately pays for your life. I want to know for you, I've asked everybody the same question. At what point did you realize that your business was paying for your life?
It was pretty quickly. So I don't know how many of your listeners know me and my story, but I'm a solo parent. My daughter is now 20 years old, and I have spent 15 of those 20 years completely doing it by myself. Minus the five years there somewhere in the middle with her father decided to show up and be very abusive, and then he went away. So I ended up losing my job in the end of 2017, and I was already thinking about starting another business. I had run a photography business for many years, and when I got burned out on that, I went back to a corporate role, started at a marketing agency, and when I lost that job, I was ready to go start a new business. So I started a new business. I was working at a coffee shop. And so I would go work 3-4 days a week at the coffee shop. And then I was just doing everything else in the margins. And within about 6 months, I was able to quit working at the coffee shop because I was like, I have enough work now that I don't need to be here to have this supplemental income. And then we laughed because I ended up becoming really good friends with the owners. I was their first employee. And I gave my notice in May of 2018, and I worked my last shift in June of 2020.
Wow.
And it was just because they kept asking if I could come back in and cover this, that, or the other shift. And so we joke that was like the longest notice period ever. But I didn't have to be working there. That was something that I chose to do because my business was supporting itself. And it was supporting me and my daughter. And so it was critical to me, especially because at the same time that I was building this, I was also going through a massive custody battle, and I didn't have any room for error. I didn't have any room for, nope, sorry, I can't pay rent this month. So I guess we're going to just have to suck it up and deal with it. Nope, sorry, I can't buy groceries, right? Like any misstep that I made would have been held against me. So I worked extra hard to make sure that we had everything that we needed. Was it always glamorous? No. In 2019, I landed an awesome contract where I was making the most money I've ever made in my life. And my daughter, it was back to school, was kind of for the first year, I was like, get whatever you want. Get 2 pairs of Jordans if you want. I don't care. You can have three back to school outfits instead of going and getting this one cheap outfit that I can afford at the cheapest store that we can do. And of course you can get the brand name markers and crayons. Like, you don't have to get the store brand, right? And I remember my daughter saying, she's like, this new job you have is kind of baller, huh, Mom? And so like we do have those highs and lows for sure, but did what I needed to do because I needed to be there for my kid. Like that was my sole motivation, and being an entrepreneur gave me the most flexibility to be able to be a solo parent.
Yeah, I love that you're a hustler. You're always willing to do what you have to do. And you and I talk about this offline a lot too. And before we hit record, we were all still talking about how we're in crunchy economic times. And this note has come up in other interviews with other guests this season, which is like, I'm never too proud to take the job that's going to pay the bills if the most ideal client or the most ideal contract isn't here in this moment. And I really want to normalize that because I think some people think that they're not making it or that their business isn't paying for their life or they're not on the right track because they get a bridge job or they take a contract that's like, oh, well, I used to do this and I don't do this now or whatever. And it's like sometimes if you have to pay your rent, your mortgage, whatever, like food is due on the table, and the luxury of, oh, only wait for your ideal client is such a privileged thing to be able to do. And that's usually my number one sign that somebody doesn't actually support their life with their business. If they're like, oh, I'll only like charge this or I'll only work with these people. And if not, then nothing. And I'm like, how are you paying for your bills?
One of the worst pieces of business advice that I ever got was from a business coach that I hired that I thought that it was genius at the time. And then I came to realize that was wrong. And it was, if you're busy with filling, making plan B, then plan A can never happen. Right. And so it's this idea that like, if I'm focused on something that's not my main goal, then there's no room for my main goal. That's bullshit. Because if I am so worried about being able to put food on the table or keep a roof over my head or put gas in my car, which I have been in that space many times in my life, I can't focus on shit. There's no way that I'm going to deliver for my ideal client in the way that they deserve if I'm worried about how I'm going to pay the bills. And so no, taking plan B, taking that side gig, taking the work that you get paid for that's not ideal is what's going to allow you to be better at the thing that you really want to be doing. And it gives you breathing room because now you're not saying yes out of desperation.
This makes total sense why you chose the holiday as your movie, at least for this episode, because that's kind of what they're doing in this movie. Like, arguably, both main characters are, successful in their own rights, and they go and choose a plan B to fill a void in their lives. In their cases, it's not money, it's a happiness factor. And they go away, like they have a hero's journey. They go away and they go figure this out to fill the main cup back up. And I love that. Like, I can see that through line from why you chose the holiday and what we're talking about right now.
I talk about this all the time with creativity. Like, sometimes you just have to step away from the thing to be re-inspired, right? So both of them stepped out of their real lives, and then they both ended up discovering what they needed to discover because they weren't trying to force it. They weren't trying, when it comes to writing and speaking, it's like, okay, put that away for a second and go do something else. Take a walk, color, take a pottery class, do something else that fills your creative cup. And I promise you the ideas will flow.
It's so true, though. Speaking of all of this work, do you feel like you work more than some of your peers?
I definitely don't.
Good for you.
Like, I honestly got accustomed years ago to working 4 or 5 hour days. Every now and again, I will hit like a deep hyper focus and I can put in a 12 or 16 hour day and not blink twice. But I have learned how to put more space into my day. Today is a weird exception. I have a lot of stuff stacked together, but usually I have like cushion, there's ease. When I was in Europe, it was like recognizing that they're not in a hurry for anything because they know that it'll still be there. Like, that was the one thing. I did my solstice ritual that I was like, this is the one thing I want to take back, is that I'm not going to be in a hurry to get stuff. I'm not going to pack my schedule tight. And it's amazing when I have ease and cushion in my days, how much more I can get done, because I can sit down and instead of a 12-hour deep focus, I can knock some shit out in like 3 or 4 hours of just like blinders on. Okay, done. And then I go take a nap and it's great.
I love it.
So I think, like, I also want to bust the myth around like this. Like, yes, we hustle, but we don't have to grind ourselves to burnout to be successful.
Do you feel like spending more time not on American soil has helped you maybe find better focus? Because like, this is a common thing, right? And when you're on American soil, you kind of have to adapt to what Americans are demanding of you. Like, I know you've also spent quite a bit of time over in Britain too, and English culture can be very similar to American culture in that sort of time-based grind. But mainland Europe is not. It's siestas, and we'll get to it when we get to it. And somehow everything still gets done.
Everything still gets done. Yeah, it's wild. Like, I went to visit my friend who lives in Naples, and she and I have known each other for 20 years now, which is wild. We went for lunch, and our lunch was 2 hours. And she had stopped at the pharmacy to pick me up some drugs because I was having some incredible knee pain. And she's like, yeah, I stopped because I know that the pharmacy is going to be closed for siesta by the time we get done with lunch. And I was like, it's 11:30. Like, what? And sure enough, like 2:00, we rolled out of lunch, and everything that had been open when we walked down there was all shuttered and siesta. And I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. Like, the whole town quieted down. Like, I was staying right off of a very busy street, and even that, it was like we had two mornings almost. It was really beautiful, and I took my nap and I got up and I was able to get stuff done. It was like, oh, this is lovely. Yeah, everything still gets done. That was one of the lessons I learned when I was at the farm. It was like, I'm so used to American farm culture of you get up at the crack of dawn, you take care of the horses, you feed everybody, you muck the stalls, you do all of these things before you have even had your own coffee or breakfast. And then you like get quick breakfast and then hop on the school bus to go to school. And I was almost itchy. Like, when are we going to go? And she's like, it's fine. It'll get done. We don't have to do that until we're ready to bring the horses in, you know? And so like, they know it's going to take this amount of time. We have all this time to do it. I'll start it when I'm ready. And right now is not that time.
You're making a very good case for packing up bags and and going overseas.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised to hear you one day tell me, so I'm just going to stay here. And I'll be like, great, now I know who I'm going to go visit.
That's probably going to happen at some point. Your friend Gareth that you introduced me to, we had a call, and like he is all like, I want to help everybody move to Portugal, and I'm like, okay, I will get in line.
I love Gareth so much. I need to get him on a future episode for something. But he and I met at a past ConvertKit conference, and he's just been such a great business friend, and I love watching him and his family like reestablish their lives over there.
He's fantastic.
All right. I want to know, because you are traveling, this might be a little different for you, but I've been asking everybody the same question, what they currently pay for health insurance each month and how it influences your business decisions, because I'm trying to feel better about my healthcare premium. But you travel a lot. What do you do for healthcare?
Ooh, that's a fun one. I don't have any.
Well, that's one less bill.
I was on an ACA plan for a long time that was quite affordable, although I learned anytime I tried to use it that it didn't cover anything. It was whenever the United Healthcare CEO got murdered. Like the week after that, my United Healthcare, I got a notice that my premium was going from $20 a month to $589 a month. And I was like, what? Yeah, I'm not paying that for what I'm like, if it's the same plan, hell no. So what I've been doing is getting medical care when I'm out of the country, because I can pay out of pocket and it's so much cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, I was in Portugal over in December. I was so sick. And, you know, one of the things they have in Europe is they have the pharmacy, and you go in and see the pharmacist and tell them what's going on, and then they give you drugs. They tell you what you need. Like in the UK, they have like a desk nurse, and some places in France they had that as well, that would just see you. You didn't pay extra for that. They would just do just a brief exam, and then they'd be like, okay, here's the medications that you need. One of the things that I plan to do when I go back in August is get my eyes checked, because I can get those done for so much cheaper. And I'm like so behind on getting my eye prescription updated. It's not even funny. But yeah, it's like I pay for the insurance, the like traveler's insurance when I enter a country that allows me to access their system. And it's like $75. It's so cheap. That is so
affordable. Man, you are just stacking up a story here for why maybe everyone should just have a little trip over here.
I mean, I am rolling the dice for sure. Don't get me wrong, because like, I hope nothing catastrophic happens. But I also know that if something catastrophic happens and I'm in Europe, I feel way better about it being there than here.
Ooh, what does that say about American systems? My goodness. Speaking of different systems that we live in, what do you think you've given up in order to build a business that fully supports your life? Or do you feel like you've given anything up at all?
I feel like I've given up a lot. The big one being, like, I love having friends like you because you get it. I feel like it's not even all my entrepreneur friends understand the stress, which I love that you're focusing on this season, of those of us who don't have the safety net, right? Because it's a different kind of entrepreneurship. It's a different kind of showing up when you're solely responsible for paying the bills and making sure that they get paid and that the money comes in. And I feel like I have a lot of people in my life who don't get it. And it's always, well, why don't you just go do this? Why don't you just? And for me, that just pisses me off so much, because as you know, I'm such a victim's advocate and a survivor's advocate that is like hardcore victim blaming. And it's like, no, I chose this life. I knew that it was going to be hard. And what I want isn't you telling me that I'm failing. I want support of like, okay, great, what can I do? Like, there's nothing that makes me happier than when my friends want to hire me, because that to me is the greatest vote of confidence. Don't get me wrong, I have a lot of friends that want me to work for free, And that frustrates the heck out of me because it's like, no, you can't pick my brain. No, you're literally asking me to do the thing that other people pay me for. And I love that because it's like, okay, you trust me, you know my work, and you see the value in it.
Yes, just because we're friends and you have the proximity doesn't mean that I'm just here for you to just siphon off of. I do wonder, like, do you think that this is a symptom of us being women? Like, do you think that male entrepreneurs get the same kind of, well, why don't you just, I feel like the victim blaming is really harsh on women in particular, but what do you think?
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know, because I'm not a dude. They probably don't get the same pushback, though, because, like, I feel like, especially when you look at how underfunded women are, I feel like there's a lot of male entrepreneurs that will go into spaces and they'll be talking about this, that, or the other thing, and people are, like, practically handing them checks. Like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. Here's some money. And they don't have any proof of concept. They don't have any real plan. Like, the fact that we have so many industries that are just held up on promise,
speculation, gambling, the venture capital community,
speculation, futures, it's like, that's wild to me, where women can come in and be like, here's my 27-point plan, this is exactly what I'm going to do, here's how we're going to make revenue, and they still can't get funded. Like, what the heck? So yeah, I do think that there's some of that going on for sure. But I also just think that, like, I still think that there's certain types of entrepreneurs, and I'm going to say, like, the service-based businesses that just aren't seen as legitimate the same way that a brick and mortar business or somebody who has a product base like CPG, right? Yes. Like, if you have something to show, I feel like those kinds of businesses get taken more seriously. Like, the number of grant applications that I've filled out that they want, I still need to work on telling the story of my business and why it's important. That's definitely something that I'm doing. But I also feel like it's a big miss. Like, my best opportunity to get funding is through, like, literary grants or writing residencies, right?
We could have an entire podcast, like, season all on Mary getting on her soapbox about grants and grant funding. But I can tell you that since I got the keys to my brick and mortar, which you were there when I first got my keys, and you were passing through town, and you were watching me set that thing up. And there is a legitimacy factor that has shifted in conversations that I have with people when they're like, oh, you have a physical address and it's not just virtual anymore. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the business comes in easier. I still struggle with sort of that friend proximity in the networking space where they're like, oh, you have a studio, and they're like, oh, can I come by? And then people want to have a coffee chat and they really just want free coaching. And so, like, putting up the boundaries has still had to be a thing, but there is something about having keys to a brick and mortar, and it has been wild. Absolutely wild. I'm like, how is it more legitimate now when I have been producing podcasts and helping people behind the scenes for like a decade? And now that I have keys to a space, now it's real to you. It blows my mind. So yeah, I feel you on that.
For me, there's also, like, this identity crisis that I find myself in of, like, how do I brand myself to where people get it? And they understand what I do, because that's been a big part of the whole story, is like, okay, what is it that resonates with people? Like, lately I've been saying I'm a narrative strategist. Like, storytelling, yes, but storytelling is overused now, right? When I talk to people about narrative, that all of a sudden opened my doors, right? I got to work on a political campaign this cycle, which I never would have chosen for myself. But she's like, no, I need you to help me with the narrative. Like, the campaign strategy, I've got somebody for that. But, like, what is the story that we're telling here?
Yeah.
And we won. So
exciting. I love it. When do you feel like was the last time that you genuinely felt the weight of knowing that all of this was on you?
I feel that every single day, especially the days when my bank account's a little lower than others. And I'm trying to figure out like how am I going to pay for these things? Like when I get the notices of like, hey, that payment didn't go through or this payment didn't go through. And it's like, oh, cool. Hang on. Let me see what I can do to bring in some quick money. That's when the feeling of knowing that it's just me is very acute.
Yeah. And also a very, very pressure-filled time at the moment. I don't think anyone in this entire season has expressed that right now is super easy. Not that it's ever super easy, but right now is particularly not super easy. Yep. What do you feel is easier now that your business does pay for your life?
Well, living the life that I want to live. That's easier because I get to make the decisions. Like I was on Tori and Ashland's podcast a couple months ago, and I was talking about like I have gotten to do this full-time travel life. I've been doing it for about 18 months now. And it's not easy, but it's also not something that I just decided to do and it just happened. I wrote this down as something that was a goal of mine in 2016. I was in San Francisco. I was at a Danielle Laporte event. Don't judge me. She wasn't that crazy then. Or we hadn't realized how crazy she was. But like it was January and I wrote it in the beginning of my 2016 planner. Like this is my goal that I want to do this within the next 5 years. It took me a little longer than 5 years, but I made a lot of decisions in my business that allowed me to be able to do this. So now I talk to clients and I'm like, listen, I am not in a static place. I'm traveling the world. I need you to be okay with the fact that sometimes I'm going to be working from out of the country and on a different time zone. And we have those conversations before we ever sign contracts so that the expectations are there. I'm asking for that flexibility. Nobody owes that to me, but people want to work with me well enough that they're willing to give it to me. So that was very intentionally designed. And so all of the decisions that I make in my business are around that question of how does this support the life that I want to be living? And going back to sometimes you just need to pay the bills. Yes. And if there's work that is available that's not supporting the life that I want to live, like that it would require me to come back and show up in an office or be on a very specific rigid schedule, that's not supportive to me and it's not a good fit. And I know I'm not going to be happy even if it's bringing money in. So it's being more discerning about the opportunities that are in front of me and how do those support the life that I want.
Yeah. I love the phrase, like, I'm entirely unemployable now. Because I'm like, yes, I am entirely unemployable now.
You're not getting me at 8 a.m. ever.
No. Like there are some things where, you show up because whatever you're doing, like you want to be there. It's one thing to be there at 8 a.m. or earlier because like it's like your dream client or the project needs you to be doing something at that hour and you're like, yes, I want to do it. But it's an entirely other thing when somebody else is like, I need you to be here because we want you to be here. And it's like, I can't.
Yeah. Oh, I have no problem showing up for creative mornings once a month at 8 a.m.
Yes.
No problem.
I love that that's the one exception. That's awesome.
I actually won a t-shirt at the Portsmouth chapter that says we love morning people, and my daughter thinks it's hilarious because she's like, but you're not a morning person, Mom.
Oh my God, now I need to see you wearing that t-shirt more often. Do you have any business expenses that nobody warned you about?
This is the one that I feel like we end up not talking about as business owners is the shiny penny syndrome of the new software, the new tool, the new this, the new that. Like I will go to conferences and sign up for shit and be like, oh yeah, I need this CRM. Oh yeah, I need this, this other thing that I can put on my Instagram. So it's automating. I used to be the automation queen. That's what I did for work. I love all that stuff, but I sat down and started paying attention to, it's only $12 a month. Well, when you have 5 different platforms that you're paying $12 a month, that's $60 a month. That's over $600 a year that you're spending on stuff. Most of the time, we don't need it. We're not ready for it yet. Like, I am still a one-person show. I'm not worried about having so much volume that I have to automate everything and that I won't be able to, respond. So why am I paying for automation services that I don't need yet? That's the one thing. I think those are the hidden costs that people don't talk about enough, because everybody's like, oh, you gotta have this, you gotta have that. I was paying for so many tools that I used maybe once or twice, but I was still paying for them. And it wasn't until I did my tech stack audit that I was like, holy shit, I'm spending like $200 or $300 a month on software that I'm not even using.
Yes. Oh my God. I wish more people would talk about this. And I love that you brought it up. When I was still systems coaching, the first thing that I would have everybody do is an inventory or an audit of all the things you're paying for, including your courses, including your memberships, because like cash flow is something you need in your business. And at some point you do need to pay for something. And then people will be like, oh, I don't have any money. And it's like, yeah, you don't have any money because you're shelling out $600, $1,000 a year on a thing that you've used once or twice. My favorite story of all time was a member of my mastermind in its very, very early days. And after doing that audit, she somehow had managed to sign up for 2 lifetime subscriptions of ConvertKit, and even they didn't know how she did it. And so she had to talk to them and get it for first. And she had never sent one email ever. And it was like, maybe not right now.
Gosh.
Maybe not right now.
Well, and like if I went back and looked at the amount of money that I've spent for courses that I've never finished or even started,
it's incredible.
That I don't have access to anymore.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. Like, and those are decisions that I tend to make in one of two spaces. One, I'm feeling stuck and I think that I need another course to teach me what's going on instead of just getting in and doing the work. Or 2, I'm rolling in the dough and I'm like, oh, I can finally afford that thing that I've been wanting to spend money on.
Yeah.
And neither of those are good places to make business decisions, especially when it comes to how you're spending your money.
No, but I really love that you bring up, being a solopreneur and running a tight company of one and having a really curated client list. You don't need to automate as many things as you think you need to automate. And I think that, honestly, it's the entrepreneur, celebrity, grifter, influencer culture that has people thinking that, oh, I'm going to grow to like 1 million followers and I'm going to need to automate everything. And it's like, girl, you've got 2 subscribers on your list right now. You don't need to automate anything. Just email them. Just send them a normal email. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I have 132 people on my email list right now. That is you have 10,000 people on your email list problem.
Yes.
Like, let's focus on getting the other 9,000, however many people on the list. And then we can talk about building to those tools.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cash flow and tools, if your business suddenly lost 50% of its revenue tomorrow, what would you do first?
Well, I would go back to, and this is actually, I had to do this back in May, was I lost actually 100% of my revenue because all of my contracts ended, like all at the same time. And one of them was not expected. But I went back to, what is it that I already have, that I've already built, that people like, that I can keep doing? Like, let me get back into the muscle. I had actually fallen off of my weekly email for about 4 months when I got back to the States. Like, reentry was hard. And so I was like, let me just start sending my weekly email again. Let me put together a workshop that I can put out, and I'm going to base it off of this pitch guide that I already have written. Like, I'm not going to rewrite, like, I'm not going to start something new. I'm going to go back to something old that people enjoyed, and how can I leverage that now into something different? Yeah. And so it wasn't me trying to launch something new. It was going back to my old ideas and being like, okay, what can I bring forward right now?
Yeah, because those are probably your strengths. What do you think that many entrepreneurs misunderstand about becoming fully self-supporting in their businesses?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think one of the things that so many of them misunderstand is how quickly money actually comes. Like, when you don't have that safety net and you need money like tomorrow, I've been binging the awkward handshake while I've been walking the dog. So I was just listening to the episode about like when you show up to a networking event and you're thirsty, like you're not closing business tomorrow. And so I think one of the things that a lot of people do, and one of my first marketing jobs, like this guy did not understand, is that when business is good, they stop doing the activity.
Yes.
And I'm guilty of this too, right? Like they stopped doing the activity that brought them business. They stopped going to networking. They stopped taking coffee meetings. I would love to have myself in a place where I'm booking out 3-4 months in advance and have people will wait for you if you're worth it. And if they're not going to wait for you, they're not your people, right? And so I need to still have that business development muscle getting exercised. Maybe I'm totally going to mess this up. My daughter is a lifter, but like I'm not working on gains right now. I'm just working on reps, right? Like you still have to be exercising that muscle. You don't necessarily need to make it the strongest one that you have. But I feel like that's the piece that people seem to miss, is that the reason that we end up in these slumps is because we stop doing the things that brought us business when we have business.
I love it. What's the saying? It's something like, if you don't do any marketing now, pretty soon you're going to have a lot of time for marketing. And I feel like that's the thing that people live through. But I love that.
Well, and I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
I do it too.
I think we all fall into that trap, and then you learn and then you rebuild. And I really feel like that muscle of continuing all the business development, it's kind of like, I like flipped it in my mind. I started thinking of it like, what is the trend that I am seeing in the market? Like if I need to know where the market is going so that I don't end up in a like complete zeroed out slump, which has happened. And sometimes it is beyond your control and it happens. But I go to the events. I might go to fewer of them, which is happening at the moment, but I will still make sure that I go to some to make sure that I'm just taking like a temperature of the room, or I'll at least consume a lot of other people's content to take a temperature of the room, where I'm like, where's the school of fish currently swimming towards or against? Like, where's the current? Like, what's going on here? And I don't know that you get that if you just like check out. But we've all checked out at some point, and then you learn it. You're like, note to self, don't check out again.
Yeah. Well, and I understand too that like when you have business, especially when you're a solo, like the two of us are, like we are the ones that are producing the work, in addition to business development, and in addition to relationship capital, in addition to blah, 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 right? Like I understand that it can be really easy to get yourself, but no, I just have to focus and get this done so that I can bill it. But one of the things that I've learned from tracking my time is that I often work towards these false deadlines that I've made for myself that aren't actually what my clients are expecting. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. When I look at, and I'm like, oh no, I totally could go to that event because this isn't really actually due tomorrow. Like I just decided it was due tomorrow.
Yeah, that is so true. You and I love talking about things like codependency and coercive control and all kinds of things. So I think you're going to love this is one of our final questions. What are business programs, coaches, and communities not talking about enough that keeps people stuck in dependency patterns?
The fact that they are dependency machines. Yeah. So I also was listening to Tanya Kubo's podcast, Find Your Freaks, yesterday, and it was the episode with Gwen Bortner, and then the follow-up to that about communities. And she was talking a lot about the codependent patterns that so many of these communities build. And I just couldn't help but think about all of the communities that I have been in, that it was a whole bunch of people who needed a nanny. Like they needed a business nanny and they signed up for a program. And it was just this like constant, like everybody was leeching out of everybody. And nobody was actually contributing anything. And then the community would shut down because the person who was running it would have no capacity to like hold all that space for all those people. And then everybody would be like, oh, what am I going to do now? And it's like, oh my gosh, put your big girl panties on and just get to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think that's like, you don't need another coaching program. You don't need another community. Take the ones that you've invested your time and effort in and just do the work.
Yeah.
Like, apply what you have learned. And if there's still, after you've done that, if there's still skills or gaps, like, those are so much easier to see once you've actually started to do the work. But like, so many of these programs are designed to keep you in a codependent pattern, and like, they won't talk about that because they're happy taking your money.
I also find that those environments are, as our friend Julie has said, the commodification of friendship. They have commodified it. And those are also usually the spaces where the people in those spaces, their business does not pay for their life. And, you know, when you're trying to really build something sustainable, it is hard to get answers, and you don't find the right collaborators because you're in the wrong pond, and it's probably time to get out. One of our last questions. What's the bill that you're weirdly proud to pay? I mean, I know that you don't have a lot of bills right now. But what's something that you're super proud to pay right now?
I mean, do plane tickets count as a bill? I don't know.
I think for you they do.
Yeah, well, there's that. Although it's funny. So one of the ways that I've been able to travel is because I've been house sitting through Trusted House Sitters. So I have a membership through there, and that's an annual membership. Although I've referred so many people that I haven't had to pay for it in over a year. And I may not even have to pay for it this year.
That's amazing.
So that one's like sweat equity. But yeah, no, I love being able to book the flights and stay in the places that I want to stay in. Yeah. Like, there's nothing that gives me greater joy than booking flights.
You know what? That's a worthy bill for you. All right, we're finishing out every episode with a little Mad Libs game. So I'm going to have you fill in the blank on the sentence. The sentence is, my business pays for my life, and that means fill in the blank.
That means that I'm living the life that I designed. Like, that's the part that makes me so happy, is that I am happy. Like, you have noticed it. So many of my friends have noticed it. Eunice, you're so much happier now. Well, yeah, because I am literally living out the dream that I had. Yeah. And my business allows me to do that.
It's so powerful. Oh my gosh. I am so glad that you came on this season. I know that you will definitely be back around again in the future on whatever else I choose to do on a recorded microphone. But I'm going to remind everybody to go to the show notes, go check out your work, click the links, subscribe to your email newsletter at minimum, but because they're so good. But also, you know, somebody who needs help figuring out their story, like, you are definitely their person, and you would do good justice to those stories. I've seen what you've done with other people, and I'm just excited that people get to like hear about the infrastructure behind all of that, which is so important.
It's so much fun. And also, like, my email newsletter is partially inspired by you, right? Of how do we look at TV and movies. And for me, it's not really pulling the business lessons out, although we could do that, but it's looking at the craft behind it, and like, why does this story work? Yes. And then how can you take what they did and apply it to your own stories? Yeah. To make them more memorable.
Yeah, I feel like people are really looking for how to differentiate themselves in the new age of AI, because people are pumping out so much stuff so quickly, and just really doesn't need to be like that. We need human things, and you help people be more human. So thank you for lending your wisdom to us today.
Thank you for having me back on the podcast. I always love getting on the mic with you because I never know what's going to happen.
That's it for this episode of the School of Moxie podcast. This season was produced and edited by me, Mary Williams, through Sensible Woo and now Sasquatch Media Grounds out of Vancouver, Washington. If you're a business owner and you want help building your own media engine, maybe it's your podcast, your YouTube channel, your content, the whole visibility machine, come and subscribe to my emails at sensiblewoo.com/subscribe. I'll show you how it's done, and I'll hook you up with the good stuff. See you on the inside.